hey, two of the worst pass blocking offensive linemen in football last year, we're going to acquire them. You guys take a very promising prospect who sounds like a great kid. You get him, Minnesota. I will say this, my one takeaway from last night's Texans draft. I don't like this Minnesota Texans O-line exchange program that's going on, where the Texans take on their bad players, and then the Vikings decide to take the player the Texans were likely targeting at 25. So we have Cam Robinson, who was a free agent. We trade for Ed Ingram. They take the first-round pick in Donovan Jackson. That's a bad trade-off. And this has been a thing at different positions. Like Jonathan Grenard went there. Blake Cashman went there. We got Danielle Hunter. It's probably a wash. Blake Cashman was a good player for the Texans. Danielle Hunter certainly with the Texans in year one was good. And Grenard was good in Minnesota. So I don't feel as bad about that as I feel about, hey, two of the worst pass blocking offensive linemen in football last year, we're going to acquire them. You guys take a very promising prospect who sounds like a great kid when we had him on ESPN 975 earlier in the week. You get him, Minnesota. So that's my big thing. We gotta fix the imbalance. Trade Mechie for Jordan Jefferson or Justin Jefferson. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's see how that works out.
I think that tips the scales.
Let's tip the scales back in the Texans' favor, because right now I feel like, of course, I've never seen Donovan Jackson in an NFL uniform play a snap, but right now I know that Cam Robinson and Ed Ingram aren't good, at least in 2024. So the Vikings come out ahead there. So that's the big takeaway. The Texans are going to have a lot of picks today. I think they have 5. Do they take all 5? That's a question, because Nick Caserio likes to make moves. We're going to hear from him. He talks about the process of trading up and trading back. They were trying to get up in the draft. One of my friends who listens to the show, big Cowboys fan, they're saying the reporting is they were trying to get up to 12 or above to go take Tyler Booker. Just that the Texans weren't willing to offer enough to get there. So they were targeting an offensive lineman and maybe a guy like Tyler Booker, who fits exactly what the Texans want from all of their players, but particularly for an offensive line who had their issues in that room last year. And, of course, that translated onto the field where they weren't good. So Tyler Booker would fit, as they like to say, swarm. That he's all about ball. There's a clip we're gonna play from his draft night where he was talking to, I think, the Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons was on a draft night podcast or draft night live stream with Bleacher Report, and Tyler Booker was there, and they're asking him questions about his play style. And he mentioned something about pretty much taking the soul from players when they go up against them. So that feels like he fits what the Texans would want. He just was someone the Cowboys wanted more than they wanted to trade with the Texans. So he's off the board. The Texans don't add anyone yesterday, and they don't improve their offensive line. The question will be at 34, will they do it at that pick, or will they find value someplace else? So we've got an afternoon and into an early evening to wait on that. If you're listening to the morning show, you heard Lance Zierlein, our preeminent draft expert, talk about some of the options there. And I think he said he's going to put some stuff out on social media. So look out for that at Lance Zierlein to find out where the Texans are possibly going as they make their first selection. So busy day for the Texans, trading up and trading down. The trade started before not trading up. They traded down twice, but the one trade started before the draft began. They traded with the Browns to acquire selections. And, of course, they traded with the Giants, who went on to take Jackson Dart and made him the second quarterback taken in the draft. And, of course, that was a major storyline in the draft, the fall of Shedeur Sanders, because there was the assumption he'd be a top 5 pick by some, and that was really before the draft process started. And eventually, once you started to look at people talk about Shedeur Sanders and his possibilities, you saw that the non-football people's take on him, the non-film watchers' take on him, was vastly different from the people who had to break down film and create their mock drafts, and the NFL agreed. That there's a long, drawn out narrative based story about him that there's so many that I don't really feel interested in talking about it, because I'm always, hey, what do the football people think? And as much as you want to talk about who the parent is and Dion, or the narratives about, hey, Shador doesn't have to bend his knee to the NFL, and that's why they don't like his attitude. Are you good enough? We see it in all sports. If you're good enough, they'll pretty much take on anything, and he's not a good enough prospect for me. I watched him play football over the last couple of years at Colorado, and I saw a good quarterback, but no one I thought was a first rounder. And at least that played out that way last night. We'll see where he lands today.